Ryan McCaffrey with IGN. Last week, 2K Games announcing that NBA 2K21 on next-gen systems would cost $70, leading many in the gaming community to wonder, is this the new normal? We assembled the IGN Podcast Unlock crew earlier this week to discuss it. NBA 2K21 coming to Series X will be $70 for the next-gen version, Series X and PS5. 2K and Visual Concepts announced NBA 2K21 will be released on current-gen platforms on September 4th. And while it won't arrive on PS5 and Series X until holiday 2020, it is being built from the ground up for next-gen systems. As such, 2K21 will not support smart delivery, meaning there will not be a free upgrade to next-gen if you purchase the game on Xbox One, which, okay, if it's a different game with different features and it's built from the ground up for next-gen, that's understandable, I think. However, if players purchase the $99 Mamba Forever edition with Kobe Bryant on the cover, they will get the next-gen version at no extra cost there. So if you do spend more up front, you won't have to buy it again on next-gen. Now, interestingly here, the research firm IDG Consulting has said that other game publishers are also considering price increases for their games on next-gen. Speaking with GamesIndustry.biz, the IDG president and CEO Yoshio Osaki explained how game pricing has, quote, remained flat since 2005, whereas TV and movie pricing has increased significantly. The last time that next-gen launch software pricing went up was in 05 and 06, of course, when it went from 50 to 60 at the start of the 360 generation. Osaki adds, during that time, the costs and prices in other affiliated verticals have gone up, including, and then he also notes production costs have seen an increase of 200 to 300%. He cites movie ticket prices have gone up 39% in that time. Netflix subscription costs have gone up 100%. Cable TV packages have risen by 105%. So there's a lot to chew on here. What do you guys make of this? Miranda, I want to go your way first.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's take it back to NBA 2K21. I am a little confused on they're saying, okay, well, we're building in for the ground up for next-gen systems. So to me, that says it has to be like a significant change to be something that isn't compatible with a free next-gen upgrade. Like, it's not just graphical. It's something like in the back end, as far as like systems and how this game plays, to be constitute like a whole different game. Otherwise, I feel like it's just not really super fair to the players that want to keep playing this game between both generations. I am curious to see what they say with that Mamba Forever edition, if you actually get to keep any of your saves from that. Like, is it non-transferable even though you get a free upgrade? So I would like to hear a little bit more about that. Maybe they have said it and I just haven't read into it enough, but I will have to double check on that. But that is a curious thing to me because it kind of feels like it's maybe not... I don't want to say that not honest, but I think it's just surprising given everyone else's, I guess, stance on this. Like, so far, we haven't ever heard somebody say, well, because we're building it for these systems, which everyone else is, I would assume, like they're making their games to be good for the next-gen systems, that they're also doing smart delivery, but for some reason, NBA 2K21 can't. So that's my first thing. I'm a little like, okay. As far as game prices go, I'm not really surprised to see a price increase. Like, we do know that progression is only getting bigger. Obviously, like, look at the kind of games that we're getting now. They're massive. They're long. Like, you pay, 60 can be a lot. But, like, as we know, if the price part is a problem, games go on sale. If you're playing on Xbox or a PC, you have Game Pass, which is a huge, I think, even more of a deal now, just because you're getting these massive games, part of subscription. So I think it's like hard to say like it's fair. It's like more, I guess, understandable, right? I think some of us are saying, oh, I wouldn't be surprised if Series X is more than like what we paid now. I think I would understand that it would be 600 at least, or rather than 500, although I would like 500. And so I think that applies to games as well. However, I would like to say that I would like to see games priced a little bit more variably. Obviously, we see these smaller games and indie games going from anywhere from like, I paid $3 for a game and it was so great. And it's just nice experience. But then also like $60. And then we see, $40 games being announced. I think that's something that should be taken advantage of a little bit more often, and I would like to see publishers consider that as well.
Brandon Tyrell, where do you stand with this?
I agree with Miranda. I think we're in this predicament because the middle of the pack sort of fell out of the video game industry last generation, where you had, games that were targeted at high, medium, and low price points. The medium really couldn't sustain itself, which is why you see the indie ecosystem is just sort of, the $5 to $10 range. There are exceptions, absolutely, right? You see $30 and $40 games all the time, but for how many games are actually developed every year in the thousands? I think that it's crazy to think that this sort of hobby that we all love is anything other than a luxury hobby. And I'm saying that as somebody who understands I'll have to pay more for video games. So I'm okay with the price of this entertainment luxury hobby going up. However, what I do know is that a company's goal is to earn profit. And so while I think that price going up is great for the developers, it's not going. Can you honestly tell me that if games hit $70, developers are going to start being paid more? They're going to have longer development cycles. Crunch is going to go away. None of that is true. What's going to happen is these companies will be more profitable than ever. So while I understand that that's the case, I do think that it makes sense for, a medium that is as big and popular as it is to increase in price, right? Over 10 years now. So, I think whether or not any of us agrees with it, I think $70 is going to be the new norm. And I think that because 2K already announced it. And if, since it's a free market, a company will charge as much as they can in order to get people to buy their products, right? I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. A company will charge as much as they can while still assuming people will buy the product. So if 2K just now announced that they're going to do $70, you're insane if you don't think every other publisher is sitting there looking at 2K and looking at the audience reaction to it and looking at the market reaction to it to see, is this something that we can get away with? Is this something that's going to be okay? Or is it not going to be worth the hassle? So I think $70 is going to be the new norm moving forward. I don't think it's a good or bad thing. I think it's just sort of the way that the market is going to be dictated because we're in the position that we're in. Prices haven't gone up in a long time. Publishers are now testing the waters. And if there is enough sentiment from the audience and the core demographic who buys these products that, yeah, I can pay an extra $10. And this is all US. I know Canadians have a whole different system, and let's not even get started about the euro. I think that, it will be normalized before too long. I would expect by 2021, 2022, $70 is just the price point.
You make a really good point that I hadn't even thought about with regard to, for lack of just a general term, working conditions about crunch, and that's, yeah.
Sorry, I got a little carried away.
No, I thought it was a tremendous point. I wish you were wrong on that. The fact that you said that nothing's going to change, but it's probably not. But yeah, wow, that's an excellent side to it. I hadn't even really thought about. Destin.
Do I like this? No. And I think the dialogue that they're trying to put around it is kind of BS. The casual gaming market has a profit margin of 90%. That's from back in 2009 Business Insider. They had a 90%, and we saw that's mostly from virtual goods, right? So they're already making hands over fist. And I'm like, okay, that's a pretty old article. Let's dig into the revenue share from EA from this year. They had a 12.04% increase year over year. That's a profit of $1.38 billion. And EA is the one publishing this NBA game and claiming like, inflation and all that.
This is 2K, not NBA.
Sorry. Yeah. Well, whatever.
And keep in mind, Destin, the casual gaming audience is primarily mobile games. So you're talking Farmville, Candy Crush, Kingdom Battle, whatever that, Clash of Kingdoms.
Yeah.
Games that are developed and then have games of service lifetimes where, they rake in millions and millions of dollars every month.
Well, I mean, it doesn't change the fact that for the last 12 months, EA made $5.53 billion, an 11.86% increase year over year. So their profit margin is going up and has gone up every year since 2018. It looks like they had a decline in 2018. Every other year, it's an increase. So overall, they are up 25% since 2018. So that this idea that they have to increase the base price of a product, I fundamentally disagree with. And to your point, Brandon, it's not going to fix crunch. It's not going to fix the problems with the industry. It is strictly a profit margin play so that they can look better to their investors, and people are going to pay for it. Just like they pay for the virtual goods that they consistently say that they don't like, right? But people just buy it because the average consumer doesn't care. They see a cool skin, they want to buy it. And yeah, man, like I get it. The world's about making money. That's what business is all about. But you're up 25%. How much is enough?
That's the thing too. Is like we're not in a position to tell a company you make enough money. You know,
Right.
As consumers, that's not our. We can, and again, you've heard it a million times, but like vote with your wallet. If you don't like something, don't buy it. That is the most surefire way in order to get somebody to understand your point. And as far as this relationship goes, right? Goods and services as a consumer.
Right. And
Go ahead.
to your point though, like that's such a hard thing to do too, because like then you're reaching out without the space. Like that's not just the space that says we don't like this thing, and if we say it loud enough, which has happened in the past, things change. But when you're looking at something as big as like Call of Duty, that goes far beyond anybody who listens to this show, right? Like that goes to the people who just say, I show up for this one game every year, or I show up for these few franchises, and I'm going to spend my money on this because this is what I enjoy, and I want to keep, I guess, supporting it or doing whatever with it, and I'm going to keep paying for it. So like reaching those people, that's like the hard thing. And this kind of takes us on a little tangent, but there's this one mobile game that I actually play that I really love. It's a fashion game. And there have been like community protests of things that they try to implement. They say, this is not fair. You did not do this on other servers around the world. Like, this is not okay. And like, sometimes things change. And sometimes like the developer of that will like put out a statement saying like, oh, we're not going to do this anymore because it's not fair. Or like, because we heard of what you guys said. So to Brandon's point, yeah, absolutely, things could change if there's enough people saying voting with your wallet, not doing something. But that is a very hard thing to make change, like across the entire industry, because it is such a big thing that goes beyond gamers who play a ton like us.
Yeah, I get that like a gallon of milk costs more now than it did 15 years ago or 20 years ago,
Right.
and the price of things does change. I actually looked up. So, sneak preview. I'm writing an op-ed, an opinion piece for IGN. Right, not literally right now, but there's a draft of it going around to our features team right now. It'll be up either today or tomorrow about this very topic. So I have a lot of thoughts. I don't want to blow the whole thing here, but so I did look up inflation. So just on basic inflation, just taking everything else out of it, $60 in 2006 money is $76 now. So from a sheer inflation perspective, that it does make sense. But the thing is, like, the timing of this couldn't 100%. Be worse. We are depending on what economist you want to talk to, we are either in or teetering on a global recession brought on objectively by a worldwide pandemic for which there is no real end in sight at the moment. And millions of people are out of work. It is a very economically uncertain time right now. So for game publishers to say, our next gen stuff's $70, I mean, again, there are justifications for that with development costs and inflation and everything else, but I would love to see some sort of quid pro quo on it, really, like in terms of, all right, if you're going to raise next gen prices to $70, how about you stop reaching into my wallet every 10 seconds with a microtransaction after I buy the game?
2K specifically, digital revenue raised 41%, 2019 to 2020 digital year. They made $3 billion there as of March 31st, 2020. 2K, thanks to games like Grand Theft Auto, Red Dead Redemption, and NBA 2K, among several others. That's from Gama Sutra. They're making money. They're selling digitally. They're doing all that stuff smartly, and now they're also increasing the price $10. And is that going to result in higher pay for their employees? No, they're still going to go by the industry standard. Is that going to result in less work hours for their employees? No, they're still going to have to work just as hard on these games. I don't feel good about this. If they could explain to me why exactly and what improvements are going to be made about their working conditions or their games for that $10, maybe I'd be a little bit more interested in it. But when you're already making $3 billion in profit, and this is going to push you to $4 billion in profit, and you have these industry problems that aren't being addressed, and it just feels gross.
And even on that note, the case for the $70 next gen game, the first game to try and make that case, NBA 2K is probably not the best game to try and be the first one to make that case. There is a literal casino
gambling
in the game right now in 2K20. So that's like the optics on it are bad, even if they do have some points, some legs to stand on in their argument. So yeah, it's a really complicated situation. But I guess the point of us discussing this is not only to, I mean, it's a healthy, good discussion to try and hopefully get our audience thinking about all different perspectives on this, but also to prepare everybody out there listening to this, like whether you like it or not, this is probably coming.
Yeah.
So my piece that I'm writing now addresses a lot of this, but also then, okay, well, what can you do as a gamer? So keep an eye out for that. But yeah, really, really fascinating topic here. This is and we're going to be talking more about this in the coming months.